Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Welcome and thank you for joining us on the SAP Community YouTube channel today. The topic of today's session is all about application of GenAI. Specifically, we are going to talk how GenAI could be integrated into SAP S/4HANA with intelligent scenario lifecycle management. Our expert speakers, Preeti Dinkra, who is Director at Product Management at Cloud and Lifecycle Management, and Abhishek Mishra, who is Product Owner at Cloud and Lifecycle Management, will lead us through the session. I'm Larissa Brinkman from the SAP Global User Groups organization, and I'm your host. Please ask your questions in the live chat, and we will answer them at the end of the presentation. The PDF of this session will be included in the description of the video that will stay on YouTube for your convenience and will be uploaded shortly after the stream will finish. But now let's get started, and over to you, Preeti.
Thanks, Larissa, for the warm introduction. And we are delighted to be present here today to give you an in-depth overview of ISLM. Or Intelligent Scenario Lifecycle Management. So we'll talk about the key capabilities of ISLM, which makes it a default tool for you to integrate AI into S/4HANA. And we will also give you a sneak peek into the upcoming, very exciting developments that we have planned with respect to the GenAI integration using ISLM. So I'm going to switch off the video now. And sorry, I think I pressed the wrong button here. Okay, now let's dive into the topic. So today's session, we will be talking about what is available with the ISLM functionality in the current scope of ISLM, but we will also talk about our roadmap and what is upcoming with ISLM. And please bear that in mind that all these forward-looking statements and some of the timelines that we share are subject to change. So the agenda that we have planned today, so we'll start with an overview of ISLM, and I'll try to cover some basics as well because some of you might be new to ISLM. But the focus for today's session would be on some of the Delta offerings from ISLM. So we will talk about the pre-built AI use cases in S/4HANA and what is upcoming in that direction. We'll also talk about how you can use ISLM to create custom use cases with ISLM. And also, I think one of the key topics for today and also something of great interest for our audience would be to talk about ISLM support for generative AI-based use cases. And we have a lot of demos planned for you, and we'll share the roadmap and further information. And we can wrap it up the session with Q&A at the end of the session. So a little bit on the business AI. I don't think this is a new slide, and you probably have seen this before, but this basically outlines our overarching goal of SAP that we want to empower our customers and organizations to leverage SAP portfolio of technology to basically become intelligent, efficient, and sustainable organizations. And at the center of it is our AI vision. And in today's evolving business landscape, AI is just not a buzzword. It's not something that you see in your theoretical discussions and so on. It is a critical enabler for our customers of digital transformation. And we embed AI directly into our ERP, into S/4HANA, and we ensure that businesses can start benefiting these AI-driven efficiencies right out of the box. So we have a lot of pre-built AI use cases that we deliver. We'll talk about that in the upcoming slides. And this embedded intelligence allows you basically to automate the processes. You can make data-driven decisions more effectively and so on. But we don't stop here. For organizations looking to extend their AI capabilities even further, SAP provides various tools and services needed to innovate with AI. And ISLM plays a crucial role on realizing this vision. So let's jump into what ISLM is. Now, so ISLM comes into the play of, when we want to realize this vision that we saw. It is a framework which is designed to seamlessly integrate AI into business application, and it just doesn't stop at integration. So as you can see here, we provide a comprehensive platform for managing the entire life cycle of intelligence scenarios or AI use cases. So whether you are a customer, a partner, or our internal SAP development team, ISLM is the powerful enabler, which is your default or go-to tool for you to bring AI from concept to reality within your SAP ecosystem. So what exactly is ISLM? So in a sense, it's a framework that allows you to perform lifecycle management operations for machine learning scenarios within S/4HANA. So it is natively integrated into S/4HANA, and it offers a flexible approach to integrating applications with various machine learning services and runtime, as you can see here. So ISLM is part of this blue box, which represents S/4HANA, and it supports basically the embedded approach of machine learning, which is based on HANA ML, the PAL, and the APL libraries. And it also supports these various remote machine learning AI services or ML platforms that you can see here. So we started by supporting HANA ML, and we have extended the support for SAP AI Core, various AI services that we have. And now we also extend ISLM to support to connect to generative AI hub, which is your gateway to large language models or LLMs. So what this means is that ISLM acts as a single entry point within S/4HANA stack, and it's basically designed to integrate and manage all kinds of AI services or ML runtimes that you see here. And as I mentioned, it's part of this box here, so it's part of the basis layer, which means that customers can use this as part of their S/4HANA standard licenses, and it's available for both on-premise as well as cloud versions of S/4HANA. So it's available starting S/4HANA 2020 FPS 0 for on-premise, and for cloud, it's cloud 2011 version onwards, it's available. As I mentioned, it supports both embedded approach, utilizing the HANA ML libraries and also the AI services here. The other important point which I wanted to highlight is that it supports not just the pre-built or out-of-the-box AI use cases which SAP offers, but customers and partners can also use ISLM to build their own tailored use cases, which are catering to their specific requirements. Another delta which I wanted to highlight here is that ISLM is now integrating with a WAP AI SDK, and we are working towards providing this seamless experience, support generative AI based scenarios. Now, a few statements on what are the benefits of ISLM and what are we working towards. So, as I mentioned, it's designed to streamline the integration and innovation of AI within your business application within S/4HANA. And what makes ISLM particularly effective is to ability to achieve this within the same stack. So you don't have to deal with the complexity of moving across different stacks and so on. And for our developers, it is offering all the capabilities and the abstraction from all the complexities, so that minimal coding effort is required to integrate AI, whether it's the narrow AI or the generative AI, into your S/4HANA environment. So it simplifies the entire process, allowing organizations to quickly innovate and bring AI driven solutions into operations without having to deal with a lot of complexity. It is, as I mentioned, natively integrated into S/4HANA, which allows to manage a wide range of AI scenarios. So different LOB scenarios are supported within ISLM. And as I mentioned, it supports narrow AI as well as generative AI. And it specifically basically allows our internal LOB teams to deliver these generative AI based scenarios and offer it to our customers out of the box. It is designed for non-ML experts, so we try to hide a lot of complexities, so the innovation is much faster in your organization. ISLM supports entire life cycle of AI within S/4HANA application. So there is an end-to-end support which we offer at every stage. So from the initial exploration of AI opportunities, various out-of-the-box scenarios available, or whether you want to build your own scenario, all of that is supported through the development and training of the models and all the way to the deployment and activation, after which the productive use of a scenario would typically start. So we are offering comprehensive lifecycle management support. And in this regard, also, we are providing a lot of new features. I'll talk about some of the new capabilities of ISLM in a while from now. ISLM comes with the Fury application. So the ISLM capabilities or functionalities are delivered through 3 Fury apps, and it's designed to be user friendly and to be accessible by non-ML experts, and it operates seamlessly within the context of your business application. So, meaning the user may not have a deep technical background of AI. So, admins, those who are enabling out of the box AI use cases, our effort is to abstract the complexity so that non-ML experts and personas with, let's say, not so high understanding of the business processes can also leverage ISLM to enable some of these capabilities. So, in summary, I would say it offers a powerful and a user friendly platform for integrating AI into your S/4HANA environment. And also, it helps you accelerate the innovation and managing of AI scenarios efficiently from start to finish, from exploration to the productive use of AI scenarios. So, that was an overview of ISLM. And before we move ahead, I just wanted to cover some of the technical aspects here. So here we can see a simplified architectural picture here, which basically revolves around intelligent scenarios here, which is basically the binding entity between the business application and any kind of AI runtimes or SAP HANA ML in the embedded case, or in case of side-by-side, the AI services. So at the bottom of this picture here, we have the different ML runtimes represented. So what we're trying to portray here is that intelligent scenario lifecycle management, or ISLM, basically lets you connect to any of these platforms. And the entire process basically starts here, where you have your data scientist and your AI personas or developers, and they are developing these AI artifacts. So this part of the process happens outside of the ISLM functionality. And once you have decided that which ML runtime you would be utilizing, and algorithm and technology, all of that is decided, and the data science part is also done, then ISLM comes into play. So this is where a web developer or an intelligent scenario owner persona would basically be creating an entity which is called intelligent scenario, which is basically the binding entity between the business world to the ML runtimes and the AI services and so on. Now, ISLM plays a critical role during this transition from development to the operational use. As you can see, the data science activities are happening outside of it. So once the ISLM, so the intelligence scenario is developed and it's published and it's available in S/4HANA for our customers. So that's where on the consumption side, we have these 3 different personas, namely. So business user would be someone who would be utilizing the capabilities. But before that, we have the admin persona, who would be responsible for basically the ML operations part of this entire process. So they would be responsible for example, setting up some technical configuration. So it could be setting up connectivity between the intelligence scenario and, for example, the generative AI hub, the AI core service, or any of the AI service, and so on. And then comes the process of training, which is relevant for the narrow AI use cases. So that's where the business admin would be responsible for training the model based on the customer data. And then the same persona would, or a different persona, someone who was more involved in the process side, would be responsible for evaluating the quality of the model. So, as I mentioned, we come with ISLM comes with the Fiori app, so that's where very easily you can view the different matrices of a model. So you could basically see what is the accuracy, what is the F1 score, what is the recall, and so on. And then once you're satisfied, then the business admin can go ahead and deploy and activate a model for the productive use in the business application. So this was to highlight that what is our key persona. So on the development side, I'd just like to maybe highlight that we have the web developer or someone who's responsible for developing and integrating such capabilities and into S/4HANA would be using ISLM app called Intelligent Scenario. We will see these in action in a few minutes from now to basically create any such use cases. And then on the consumption side, we would have the business admin then to basically activate and deploy use cases and make them available for the business user. So this was about the technical perspective and the personas which are involved. Now I'd like to briefly talk about some of the Delta enhancements in ISLM. We'll see some of these features in action in a few minutes from now. So I'd just like to cover a few. So typically, an activation of a use case in ISLM would start with a few manual steps. For example, the prerequisite checks to check if, for example, you have the required data in terms of quality and quantity in your system or not. And then you basically have to evaluate the quality of the model and then deploy and activate. So, which is in some way challenging for our customers. So, we have enabled, we are offering a new capability called turnkey, or which is the auto enablement of AI use cases. And with this, we aim to streamline and expedite the adoption of AI use cases by automating many of the complex steps and the task which I just mentioned. And we also want to abstract away the technical complexities which are involved. So the turnkey AI basically aims to simplify and streamline this process. And then let's talk a little bit about how this is achieved. So first of all, setting up AI scenarios in S/4HANA involve all the steps that I mentioned, and some of these steps are now automated, and so that the scenarios to be activated by default. And as I mentioned, we also want to remove complexities involved. So we are abstracting these complexities so that the personas involved here need not have a very deep data science knowledge or process knowledge for them to activate some of these models. So ISLM has been enhanced to support this capability, and then we will see some of this in action and going forward. Another feature which I just quickly wanted to outline was this data push management, basically. So this is for now, what this means is that now ISLM basically supports the data push management for example, remote ML providers, the BTP based scenarios. For example, data attribute recommendations. This is supported for data attribute recommendation. And this feature basically enables ISLM to retrieve data from S/4HANA and push it to the remote machine learning providers, in this case, as I mentioned, DAR. So what it does is that it simplifies the training process by integrating data management seamlessly into this entire process of MLOps in ISLM. What we can do with the ISLM apps, that we can define the data source for training using the ISLM app intelligence scenario, and then train the model, and then review and activate for the productive use using the intelligent scenario management app in ISLM. Another new feature that we have, I quickly wanted to share a few statements on that. So now ISLM supports multi-model management, and this has been a requirement from some of our customers to enable activation of multiple concurrent models. And this is based on specific business context. So it could be based on a region, it could be based on a specific company code. So using this, you can activate model versions tailored to different business contexts by making certain configuration and some segment fields and so on, and then view the activation context for each of these models. How it is achieved that we can define intelligence scenario as a multi-model managed. So if it's a out of the box scenario, then SAP would have to deliver a scenario which is enabled for multi-model management, and you can specify some of these fields, the primary and the segment fields and so on, and then create and activate a segmented model which is based on a business context. So as I mentioned, it could be, for example, it could be a region, or as I mentioned, a company code, or something like that. So this has been a requirement that we have received for our customers, and now it is something which is available for for our teams to utilize. Now, another feature which I wanted to highlight, but I would not be spending a lot of time on this because Abhishek will cover this in detail. So ISLM has been enhanced to support generative AI based use case, and it acts as an integration component between the application to various LLM models through the generative AI hub. And within the ISLM application, so you can explore out of the box generative AI use cases within the intelligence scenario app. So we have the repository of out of the box or pre-built AI use cases as we have been delivering, and now you would also see generative AI based use cases in the same app. So our functionality is now enhanced to support generative AI based use cases. I think Abhishek will cover this in more detail. So moving on. Now, I'd like to talk a little bit about the pre-built AI use cases. I think this is something that we also shared in the previous call, but we'll also talk about the delta here. So ISLM is, as I mentioned, a single entry point. It's a cockpit which can be used to run the entire life cycle, which starts with basically exploration of pre-built AI use cases delivered by SAP. And we have these use cases spread across various domains, so including procurement, finance, supply chain, and so on. And these scenarios are readily available within the ISLM Fury application, as you can see up here. So this is a screenshot of the intelligence scenario app of ISLM, which is serving as a central repository. So in the same repository, you would see the out of the box scenarios, whether it is the narrow AI, whether it's the generative AI, whether it's an embedded scenario or a side by side scenario. So everything is available here. And on top of that, we offer a few functionalities for you to basically filter and identify scenarios which are of your interest. For example, if you're only interested in line of business sales, then you could simply look up the scenarios which are of the sales area. And we have few other capabilities which are integrated into this, and which basically helps you explore different out of the box use cases. For example, what you can see here is a view of additional information. So for example, you come across a scenario in this Fiori app, but you would like to gather some more information around it. You probably want to read the help documentation, you want to know what is the business benefit around it. So all of that is available in this Fiori app. Now, I'd like to talk about some scenarios here. So this is basically not a complete list, but we do get a lot of questions around it, that what kind of scenarios are supported, and when you say AI capabilities, what exactly do you mean by that? So, for example, in the sales domain, the scenario is introduced that helps basically forecast customer payment behavior. So, behavioral insights, it's in the area of line of business services, where basically it will predict whether you have the risk of late receivership or not. Another sales example is about automatic generation of sales order from unstructured data. For example, if you have a PDF or an image file which contains information such as purchase order. So ISLM basically will allow, this scenario will allow you to create sales order automatically based on this kind of an unstructured data. So, so this is not a complete list, but just to give you an idea that what kind of scenarios you can anticipate, and what kind of capabilities that come out of the box in S4HANA. So there is a blog available which I had published. Now, this has some information about it. It will at least allow you to explore some of these new scenarios which are available. So, up here, this is again not a complete list, but just to give you an indication that what you can expect in terms of upcoming AI use cases in S/4HANA. So, up here, you can see some of the use cases which are going to be available. And you can also see some of the generative AI based scenarios which will be part of 2408. And they are available for beta release for our customers. So SAP's approach is to basically integrate generative AI and combine it within the business context. So you have different type of scenarios available here. For example, summarization is something which will lead to a lot of efficiency for our business user. Now, Fiori summarization is something which is going to be available as part of our out-of-the-box capability. So we have several scenarios which are planned to be delivered, and as I mentioned, some of these are planned to be delivered with 2408. Some of these are available as beta releases already. And the idea here is to leverage generative AI and integrate it directly into the complex business processes and making it easier for businesses to adopt and benefit from AI innovations without any extensive custom development. So, having said that, I briefly wanted to cover how you can leverage these pre-built AI use cases. So, both embedded type and side by side are supported within ISLM, and typically the process can be divided into these three phases. And I think I already spoke about the exploration phase. So this is where ISLM helps you to basically find a scenario which is of your interest, which is of relevance for your organization. So you could look up LOB specific scenarios and so on. You can check a lot of information about the, for example, the Fiori app ID associated with it, the scope item, and so on within ISLM. Then we also have a capability called the prerequisite check. So this capability basically allows you to check if a scenario has, if your system environment, your S/4HANA system has the required data to run such a scenario or not, whether you have the required quality and the quantity of data available or not. It also checks whether the technical configuration, such as connectivity and so on, is properly configured. Now, this is basically your initial discovery, exploration, and readiness part, which is supported within the intelligence scenarios application offered by ISLM. Then comes the operations part, where, for example, for a side-by-side scenario, whether it's based on generative AI or if it's based on BTP AI services, you would have to maintain a connection. And this step is also simplified by ISLM. So we offer an IMG activity using which you can very easily establish the connection between the two entities. Then comes the training part. So if the training is required for the scenario, then you would have to start the training in intelligent scenario management app based on the customer data. And this is also very much simplified. And it basically, we try to abstract a lot of complexity around it. We will see this in a few minutes in our demo. Then comes the important step of analyzing the trained model, because I think the most important thing is here that you have applied AI, but what is the business outcome you're getting out of it? So that's where we have something called various models, various matrices. As I mentioned, you can look up the accuracy of a model and other matrices very easily in a very user-friendly manner for you to know if a model is serving your business requirement or not. And once you're satisfied with the model, then you need to basically deploy and activate, and then it would run productively in your environment, and you can leverage the capabilities of this in your business application. I'd like to maybe say a statement on the activation part. So this is where also ISLM comes with the two flavors of activation. So one is namely activate for me and activate for all. So activate for me is basically is used during the testing phase. So when you're testing a scenario, when you're testing a model, you would basically you would activate it for your own user. And once you're satisfied and your testing and your exploration phase is over, then you would activate it for all. And then it would reflect in the business application. With this, we come to this part of custom built AI use cases using ISLM, and we understand from our customers that this is also a very important aspect of your AI journey, because not all that you need from AI innovation is available through pre-built or out-of-the-box scenario. So in that case, you would have to create, or you'll have to build your own AI use cases, and that's where ISLM plays a very critical role here. So again, with regard to the custom AI use cases, we support both embedded as well as side by side. And the process, as you see here, is more or less similar to what we see in the previous slide, which was about consuming pre-built AI use cases. The difference is on the innovation side, and this is where, as a customer, as a partner, you would have to invest to identify the ML technologies. You will have to also identify and also work with the data scientist in your organization to ensure you have the right data, and you can in fact use the data for the business outcome you're looking for. And then comes the part to use ISLM to basically create an intelligent scenario as a binding entity and publish it, and followed by the entire ML ops process as I described in the previous slide. Um, Before I hand over to Abhishek, I wanted to highlight this here, that we have published a guide. So this is a step-by-step guide available for our customers. So I think it is accessible to anyone, and you can look. So this comes with the step-by-step description of how you can custom create a scenario which is based on HANA ML, or, for example, any of the AI service, namely DAR in this case. So I would highly recommend, if you're interested in custom creation, to look up this information. Now, this was an overview, and I think this set the stage for Abhishek to show us ISLM live in action. So first scenario we would like to showcase is the sales order auto completion. So this is a pre-built out of the box scenario, which basically helps the user in process of completing a sales order through recommendations which are based on historic data. So in this process, it reduces the manual effort required to fill various fields in the sales order. So the incomplete sales order could be completed much faster, and it avoids delays caused by such incomplete sales order. So with this, I'd like to now hand over to Abhishek.
Thanks, Preeti. So let's start with a classical AI use case, which is a pre-built use case. The use case here is a sales order auto completion. So in a sales order, most of the information is pre-filled based on the customer and material master records. However, certain critical information could also be missing in a sales order, and such pieces of information kind of leads to a sales order being in an incomplete status. So an incomplete sales order causes a delivery delay, and it's a manual effort for a internal sales representative to manually figure out the values for a missing field in a sales order. And it's also error prone. And this problem is resolved with the power of AI, where an AI model is now built on the historical sales order data. And let's try to understand how ISLM comes into the bigger picture to deliver this use case, which is a pre-built AI use case, and how it helps in the complete ML lifecycle management. We are in the monitor recommendation for sales document completion, and we have logged in with a internal sales representative. So you can see there are a lot of fields which are missing, and there are a lot of sales order in incomplete status. And with the power of AI, we can get the values recommended for these missing fields in a sales order. For example, on the header, we see that for the terms of payment, the AI has recommended 0004 as the best option. And on an item level, it has recommended for the shipping point as 1710 as the best option. Let's try to understand how ISLM can be leveraged to deliver this use case. So we have the first Fiori app of ISLM, which is the Intelligent Scenarios app. And over here, you can see all the pre-delivered use cases across different lines of business. And ISLM also helps in the exploration phase for a business admin to get started with all the different pre-delivered use cases. And they can also kind of fetch different information related to this use case. So that's the use case here is a sales document auto completion. So an business admin could click here, they can see a lot of additional information which can easily help them to get started with a use case. And this intelligent scenario is basically the binding entity between the business application and the ML runtime. So this is the representation of a AI use case where we define certain meta information. For example, what are the fields which acts as the input to train the AI model? What is the output which the model will produce? And this also has certain other meta information. For example, the data source that is required for training the model, which in this case is a CDS. Once this scenario is delivered to the customer starts their journey from the second app of ISLM, that is the Intelligent Scenario Management app. And over here, they can do the complete ML model management. So the challenge statement or the problem pain point for the customer is, will this pre-delivered use case from SAP work in my environment or not? Do I have sufficient data to train the model? Are my required business configurations that are required to work on this AI use case already established in my system? So for that, we deliver the prerequisite checks. So you can click on this prerequisite check in ISLM, and the business admin could kind of execute the checks and also view the check results. So this kind of establishes a strong foundation before the model trainings can start. So we can see that the prerequisite check ran, and more detailed information can be seen here. For example, the data required to train the model is sufficient, the scope items are activated, the connectivity to the DAR service, which is required here for the model training, is also working. So all the checks are successful, and now we are good to start with the training process. The training process is also simplified in ISLM with a single click of a button, and this is now delivered with an integrated data management capability where ISLM fetches the data to train the machine learning models. You can also filter the data based on your use case. For example, you want to train the model for a specific sales org or a specific plant or a specific creation date. All those capabilities are also supported with ISLM. And once the model training is triggered with a single click of a button, you can also view the status of the trainings in ISLM. So we can take one of the completed trainings here. And over here, you can see a lot of meaningful information in terms of how much data was required to train the model, how many rows of data, how many columns of data. You can also view the quality of the AI model. For example, what is the accuracy, what is the F1 score, precision, recall, which are the industry defined metrics. You can also view a lot of information around the data management. For example, how much data was used to train the model, and how many records, how many rows, how many columns was uploaded. So once the model training is successful, the next step is to deploy the model with a single click of a button. And the deployments can also be monitored in ISLM. And here ISLM also offers a key capability, which is the activation option. So you can have multiple models which are trained and deployed, but which model should be used productively in a business application, for example, in a sales order, to recommend the values for the missing fields. That is decided with the step of activation. It helps in the easy change control management. So there are two options here. One is an activate for me. This is more like a local testing where an admin can activate a model only for himself, test it out, and then he can activate it for all the users using an activate for all option. So this kind of enables the AI use case. We have also offered now a capability which is called as a turnkey. So this basically is an auto activation of an AI use case. So instead of doing the trainings, the deployments, and activation manually, all the steps that are required to activate an AI use case shipped by SAP can be auto activated via this turnkey feature. So here the turnkey toggle can be turned on, the turnkey runs can be monitored. Here we can also see that there are a lot of runs which happened in the past, and these are all the steps that the turnkey did. So it did the pre-checks, did trainings, deployment, activations, and so on and so forth. So this kind of eases your effort and it kind of makes the entire process automatic. This was one of the pre-delivered use cases that we wanted to talk about. And now let's also try to understand what are the capabilities ISLM offers for generative AI based use cases. So ISLM for generative AI based use cases kind of acts as an integration layer between the business application and all the LLM models. So here the journey starts in the same way that you create an intelligent scenario as a representation of an AI use case, define certain meta information. ISLM also offers you the connectivity to generative AI hub, and generative AI hub then offers the access to all the different LLM models and all other capabilities like the orchestration service is also available as a part of generative AI hub. ISLM also provides an option to manage the prompt templates within the ABAP stack. The lifecycle of the prompt templates can be managed efficiently. You can create your prompt templates, you can modify it, change it, and manage it effectively within the ABAP stack itself in the context of an end-to-end scenario. Now, ISLM and ABAP AI SDK is providing a joint offering where both business AI use cases as well as any technical use cases on ABAP side, like code generation, can also be supported. And over here, this is a simple architectural picture that a business user kind of interacts with the business application. For example, a sales order to summarize some of its content. And here, an application developer would leverage the ABAP APIs offered by ABAP AI SDK to execute the prompts. And ISLM provides all the other capabilities. For example, the scenario management, the connectivity to generative AI hub, the complete model management lifecycle, the prompt management, etc. Such use cases are also auto-enabled or turnkeyed, and this capability is also now supported with ISLM. So with S/4HANA Public and Private Cloud, we have 10 plus use cases that are already kind of onboarded, and it will be available with the upcoming release in S/4HANA Public Cloud with 2408 and in Private Cloud with 2023 SP02 and beyond. Let's also try to understand a simple flow, how this end-to-end process looks like with this, how you can deliver your own generative AI use cases. So we have a business application in S4HANA. ISLM is part of the S4 stack. You create an AI use case in ISLM, define certain meta information, and you get a connectivity to generative AI hub. And when you create an intelligent scenario, you can also associate your well-engineered prompt templates, which are representation of a prompt. As a part of the intelligent scenario, you can manage the lifecycle of these templates and you can publish the scenario. You can maintain the connectivity to generative AI hub with an easy and efficient way in ISLM, which you'll also see in the demo. Then you can deploy the LLM models, activate them for productive usage. And we also offer a kind of a low code ABAP APIs to easily execute the prompts in a context of a prompt template. And then the model could be integrated within the business process. Let's see a demo how this end-to-end flow looks like and how you can deliver a productive generative AI use case with ISLM. So let's try to extend the same sales order use case and understand how generative AI can be applied for the sales order use case. So for the sales order use case, let's try to summarize the contents of a sales order so that to get meaningful insights. So you see a new summarize button here, and when we click on this button, we see a lot of meaningful information that would be highlighted here. For example, what is the requested delivery date, what is the shipping location, what are the key highlights in a sales order, what are the different inconsistencies, what are the statistics, and some contact information as well, right? This is delivered using a generative AI. The content of a sales order has been summarized. And let's try to understand how ISLM comes into the bigger picture for these kind of pre-delivered use cases and also for custom use cases. So we'll try to take a custom use case also here and try to understand how such kind of LLM based use cases can be delivered using ISLM. So this is also another use case, also using a GPT model where we want to where we generate an order confirmation email for the sales accountant. And this email should kind of categorize the different items of a sales order into different categories and also predict the size of the vehicle required and also tell whether there will be a delay in the delivery of the goods, right? So to achieve such a business AI use case, let's try to understand how ISLM comes into the bigger picture. So You now also get an option to create your own custom use cases with ISLM. So over here, we have supported different types, and you can also see generative AI as one of the types supported now with ISLM. So let's take an example of email generation use case. So here we define the scenario. The type is generative AI. We define the prediction class where we define the behavior of a scenario in terms of what is the type of inference it uses, what is the version of the model that you would like to use. And we also define a model. So this model would tell you what is the type of LLM vendor and the model that we use here. So we are using Azure OpenAI and a GPT-4 model. And we have two prompt templates which are engineered to solve this use case of order summarization or the email generation. The first prompt is the system prompt, and here a sales executive would define a here a prompt template is defined to set the context for an LLM model. So we tell the LLM model that you're a sales executive who have to reach out to the customer to confirm or decline their order. The subject of the email should be in a specific format. The body should follow a format, and the distance between the source and destination is greater than 100 kilometers, then include a message about a delivery delay. And then comes the actual user prompt, where the different items of a sales order is passed as a parameter in the prompt, and then the source and destination is also passed to the large language model to generate an email. So once this inclined scenario is created and it is published, the next step is to maintain a connection for this intelligent scenario to Generative AI Hub, which provides you the access to all the LM models. Generative AI Hub, you provision the Generative AI Hub if it is a custom use case, and you have to get a service instance and a service key. So once you have a service key, you can easily map the connections in ISLM with an IMG activity, which is called the maintenance of ISLM connection. So here we can take the same incident scenario, upload the service key, and the required artifacts to set up a connection between the ABAP to this generative AI hub service, which is on BTP, is easily established. ISLM generates all the ABAP artifacts such as the RFC destinations, the OAuth configurations. You can also do a connection check and then save the connection. So once the connection between an intelligent scenario in SAP S4 HANA to the generative AI hub is established, the next step would basically would be to deploy and activate this use case for productive usage. So over here, you can also turnkey this scenario, and the deployment and activation is possible with a single click of a button. So this is a pre-trained model, so there's no training that is required, but you can easily deploy the model. And once it is deployed, you can either activate it for a specific admin, or you can activate it for all the users in the system. And then we go back to this productive app, and we see that an email has been generated, and it contains the body. It has categorized the different items into a different category. And then it also tells that a distance is greater than 100 kilometers between the source and destination, and there will be a delivery delay. This is a very simple use case using a GPT model, but you can leverage all the models which is supported then with Generative AI Hub, and also with ISLM to also deliver your own custom use cases built on Generative AI. With this, I'll also move to the further information. So we'll start with the roadmap, or what is the upcoming innovations and visions. So with 2023, we supported use cases like sales order auto completion, which we also saw in the demo. We also supported a lot of new capabilities such as training and inference data management, which also Preeti talked about. Here, ISLM already helps you to do the trainings easily by fetching the data required for model training and sends the data to the BTP to figure it in a kind of an automated mode. We also support a flexible model activation where multiple models can be activated based on a business context. For example, we need a company code specific models to be activated. Such capabilities are also now supported with ISLM. With 2024, our idea is to support more and more capabilities to enhance the support for generative AI based use cases, so that customers and partners can also build such generative AI use cases on their own, leveraging the ISLM capabilities. You'll also see a lot of new use cases around generative AI getting delivered in public and private cloud. And the new features would basically include the ISLM prompt management that we also saw. We'll also enhance ISLM to also support further more capabilities around prompt and anonymizations. We'll also offer customers and partners to extend their extend the prompt templates that are delivered from SAP side. We'll also provide a turnkey option for the auto enablement or an auto activation of such generative AI use cases. We'll also extend support also for customers and partners so that any of the AI use cases, for example, based on DAR or generative AI, can also be extended. For example, DAR will also have a capability to add your own features and targets for model training. For private cloud and for on-premise, we are also downputting all the capabilities that you see in the ISLM. All the recent capabilities that we saw, for example, the turnkey support, the support for multimodal management, the data management, the generative AI, also to lower releases till 2021. So it will be available starting from 2021 release, 2022, 2023, definitely it will be available. Now, the catch here is that for generative AI, all the pre-delivered use cases are RISE only. So only the private cloud customers could leverage the pre-delivered generative AI use cases where the GenAI models are infused as a part of the business process. However, the custom creation is also offered for on-premise customers as well. So even the on-premise customers can leverage the custom creation possibility in ISLM and build their own custom use cases with ISLM. We also have a lot of links to explore ISLM. For example, you can uh, check the Help Center documentation links. We have a lot of webinar replays. We also have the community topic page, which is a single source of information to easily get started with ISLM. And all the assets, for example, the hands-on guide, the YouTube videos, and all the important FAQs are there available in the community page. So please definitely look at it. We also have yeah, a lot of podcasts available, which you can also explore. You can also see the roadmap of ISLM in the Roadmap Explorer as well. For private cloud and on-premise, there are certain prerequisites to set up ISLM. It's an initial one-time activity, and the steps are also described here. You can also explore ISLM in a CAL appliance, so you can get your own CAL appliance, and a lot of pre-delivered use cases are already enabled for you to try out, and you can also try out custom creation with ISLM in the CAL appliance as well. So with this, we are done with the session from our side. We can open up for Q&A. Thanks a lot for joining the call, and we're looking forward to the questions.
All right. Thank you, Preeti. Thank you, Abhishek, for this detailed presentation, especially valuable this part with the use cases. And let me start with the question that have arrived via live chat. And the first question is, will there be any chance for user research on GenAI, ISLM, or Joule?
Okay, so I'm not sure if I got the question right, but I think the intention is to explore ISLM and in the context of generative AI. So, as Abhishek mentioned, that we do have plans of making the functionality available in the upcoming releases. So you should look forward to that. And if you want to explore ISLM in the current state, then I would say that if you already have an S4HANA system where ISLM is available, then you can already start with exploration from your side. But if you don't have an S4HANA system and you still want to learn, then the CAL appliance would be the approach. So when you have this PDF available with you, you can find the links to the cloud appliance library, the instances that you could spin up for yourself. There is a demo guide available and a lot of information that you can look up and really try to get your hands dirty and learn ISLM.
Right. I think this was the intention of the question because the next question is, can we have hands-on on ISLM? And this is exactly what you just mentioned. So with this, depending on where you are. If you have already ISLM, please, you can explore it, or if not, then definitely we'll follow up on the links in the PDF that will be available shortly after the stream is finished. So just go ahead and deep dive. So the next question was, I think it was also connected to the question of the research, for user research, this beta summarization. I think this is the one of the capabilities of the AI. So I'm not sure whether you have, Preeti, if you have any comments on this part.
So if you are talking about the S/4HANA, the summarization capabilities, which are part of S/4HANA as the generative AI capabilities, then there is a note available for, I think that's only for the beta customers. So you can look that up. I think if that's the question, then I would like to point you to the note available. Yeah.
Do you have the number of the note so I can share it in the chat for those who are interested?
Yes, I will be able to give you. I just need a second. It's not on top of my head, but
All right. The next question is a positive feedback to your session. Really great webinar. Is there any possibility to share the slides? As I've already mentioned, I will upload the PDF of this session in the description of the video that will stay on YouTube and will be available on demand afterwards. All right. I can't see more questions in the chat, but we are almost hitting the end of the planned times. So again, for those who are still in the session, now is the last chance for you to bring up your questions. If not, then I will wrap up the session. So we got more positive feedback for your presentation. So it was really deep dive, very, very informative. I think it's also valuable, especially this application of Gen AI, not just like a theoretical discussion, but real, real use cases that SAP is focusing on. So there is the number of the note. 1 second, I will put it in the chat in a moment. So for those who are interested and would like to look at it. So 1 second. Although SAP for me is of course available for those with as user. 1 second, let me. So link to the note. Preeti, maybe you can include this link to the note also to the PDF.
Yeah, sure.
All right. I can't see more questions in the chat, so I assume the presentation was very detailed, very comprehensive. In case you will have more questions afterwards, feel free to contact Preeti or Abhishek directly. As I said, the materials will be available for you shortly after we finish with this stream. And with this, thank you very much for being with us. Thank you for asking the question and bringing up all these important aspects. Looking forward to welcome you in one of our upcoming streams. With this, also, again, thank you to Preeti and Abhishek. Thank you very much and bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks
Thank you.
from our side.